Happy Game 7 day. We've got two Game 7s tonight and some minor other news of the day. And yeah, this is going to be really interesting tonight, isn't it? So, two Game 7s that we wouldn't have been anticipating as recently as 48 hours ago. And here we are with two of them. And it's pretty obvious where my fandom is going to be starting at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. So you have to have a 5 hour difference between both games. So for fans in Dallas or Colorado, hopefully you guys are able to see the game, the whole game, and nothing but the game. And sadly, my wife's not going to see the start of the Vancouver game, which starts later. So 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Dallas and Colorado finish it, and we'll see how this goes. This is the series that's had a lot of goals in it. So of the two games that are being played today, this one likely will be a very free-flowing, lots of goals kind of series, continued right into Game 7. The one caveat I'd throw in there, though, is that the last game wasn't really that kind of game, and it felt like Colorado was kind of locking things down, so we'll see if that's the case. Hudobin 7-5 in these playoffs with a 909 save percentage. Bishop's 1-2 with an 844 save percentage. So when people talk about the one game he played when he came back and he didn't last the full period, Bishop just since the return, something's been off. Hutchinson is very likely the starter again tonight. He's 2-0 with a 938 save percentage. He is the story. Dallas has scored 23 goals in this series. Colorado scored 25. So 48 goals combined in 6 games. That's some pretty hefty scoring right there. Heiskanen leads Dallas in scoring. 15 games, 5 goals, 14 assists, 19 points. He's been fantastic. Gurianov, 15 games, 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points. Of course, 4 of those goals came against Calgary in kind of an important game. Jamie Benn, 15 games, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points for him. And Pavelski, 15 games, 8 goals, 3 assists, 11 points to round out the top 4 in scoring for the Stars. With Colorado, I had to go with top 5 because there were 2 guys tied for with 15 points, and I couldn't leave that 5th guy off. So McKinnon, 14 games, 9 goals, 16 assists, 25 points, and Wayne Gretzky has weighed in and said he'd like to see him go after the all-time points record in a playoff year. And, of course, people would say, well, that's going to need an asterisk. I'd kind of agree, except, you know what? He's been in the bubble. He's been in a situation nobody's been in before. Sure. If he beats Gretzky's record, good for him. And he's at a point in every single game. Dallas's, key task is shut that down. The fact this team's scoring more than 4 goals a game over 6 games, that's it right there. Just shut that down. And it sounds so easy when you put it that way, right? Rantanen, 14 games, 7 goals, 13 assists, 20 points. Kadri, 14 games, 8 goals, 8 assists, 16 points for him. Burakovsky, 14 games, 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points. And Makar, 14 games, 4 goals, 11 assists, 15 points. Huge playoffs for Kadri and Burakovsky. And Colorado showing that their depth is pretty darn good. They've been pretty solid throughout this series. And it's been a series that's seen some pretty dramatic shifts. 3 of the first 4 won by Dallas, and now 3 of the last 4 won by Colorado. Game 7, that's your rubber match. That's what decides it. We'll see how things go tonight. And of course, this afternoon for me. Personally, yeah, no, I have to admit, I do think Colorado's probably going to complete the comeback. It feels like the momentum's on their side. But Game 7s are a wild and just completely unpredictable beast. So we'll see what happens. So Vancouver and Vegas, and I'll say the same as I said last night. I could not be prouder of the Vancouver Canucks as a team. I could not be prouder of Thatcher Demko coming in an impossible situation and making it work twice. And now he has a chance to make history if he can do it again. And if he doesn't, that's fine too. He's 2-0 with a 990 save percentage. So while Vegas fans try to figure out which goalie's going to score some goals for them, Demko's saved 99% of the shots he's faced. That's your story right there. The Canucks have scored a grand total of 14 goals. That's it. But because of the fact that Demko's only allowed 1 goal in the last 2 games, Vegas has only scored 16. And the frustration was getting to them last night. The Canucks need to continue to frustrate them. And Demko needs to kind of stand on his head again. Leonard, 7-4 with a 914 save percentage. Fleury is 3-0 with an 893 save percentage. And you can talk about Leonard losing games. That's fine. But again, I don't know that things necessarily go better last night with Fleury because Demko got the shutout. So we'll see if Vegas gets a little more desperate. The 16 goals they've scored is low for them, as Vancouver's goaltending has been pretty solid throughout this series. And we'll see where things happen to fall. Yeah, because we've gone from talking about Leonard and his shutouts to now we're talking about Demko and his, and right, so it's been all over the place. And every couple of days, it seems like the storyline changes. Leading scorer for the Canucks is Pettersson, 16 games, 7 goals, 11 assists, 18 points. As I said in last night's review, he was not on the board as a scorer. Might have been one of his best games as a Vancouver Canuck. May very well have been. Miller, 16 games, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points. JT Miller loves playing in Vancouver, and Vancouver loves having JT Miller. It has been a fantastic pairing, and it has been a trade that the Vancouver Canucks have won going away. That draft pick now looks like, if they win tonight, that draft pick becomes 28th, 29th, 30th, or 31st that they traded away in the Miller deal. So that just makes it even better. And if they lose, it's not that early of a draft pick either. Hughes, 16 games, 2 goals, 14 assists, 16 points. He's been fantastic. And Bo Horvat, 16 games, 10 goals. That 10th goal, of course, was the empty netter last night. 2 assists, 12 points for him. He's been solid for Vancouver throughout this series. On the Vegas side, Stone, 14 games, 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points. And he's the guy. He's the one that if Vegas is going to win this series, he needs to get 1 or 2 tonight. And Theodore, who has 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points in 14 games, he needs to get 1 tonight as well. Theodore, it felt like, was doing better against Markstrom than he's been doing against Demko, but I think that's pretty standard across the Vegas bench. Smith, 14 games, 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points. And Tuck, 14 games, 7 goals, 2 assists, 9 points. He had a goal in each of the first 3 games. He's been held scoreless in the last 3 games. Vancouver needs to make sure it stays that way. No home run passes to Tuck. No big breakaway moves for Stone. And Vancouver, they've got a chance. And again, win or lose, the pride is still there for me. I've got this big Canuck wall on that side of the room. And yeah, I now have plenty of reason to do Canuck videos this summer and use that corner where it's all Canucks, and I'm looking forward to that. So, or I guess this fall, right? This fall when there's no hockey, and then, well, we'll see, right? So, anyways, I'm looking forward to that. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern, which is 6 p.m. Pacific, and I think it should be a very good game. I anticipate a very good game, one way or the other. And again, no pressure on Vancouver. If they lose, that's okay. If they win, that's fantastic. Either way. Buffalo. So the reason I'm wearing a Buffalo jersey, they have $1.25 million in overages next season based on bonuses for this year. So again, I've talked about this before. I'll talk about it again. Basically, it's this. You have bonuses that you have to pay your players. Well, you don't know at the start of the season what those bonuses are going to be. So you can't charge a team on those overages, right? Those salary bonuses that guys are in throughout the year. So they get charged the following season. So in Buffalo's case, that's $1.25 million in bonuses, despite the reality that they haven't played a game since March. Players still earned $1.25 million in bonuses. They get tacked on to next year's salary cap. So it's another example of maybe why Botterill's out. And there are probably many reasons you can come up with. And Ryan O'Reilly, of course, being the big one. Big flashing neon sign, basically. But, yeah, it's one of those things where I know the Canucks, if Pettersson somehow won a Conn Smythe, suddenly they owe another $2 million in overages for next year. But, yeah, and keep in mind, they can spread out, Buffalo can spread that out over 2 years. So it could be $600,000 next year and $600,000 the year after. because of the downturn in the economy, because of the whole world coming to an end and all that other wonderful stuff. And then I want to close this out by saying, because I know there's a lot of speculation out there right now, but any sources I've seen that are close to NHL officials and to anybody on the NHLPA, there are no concrete plans yet on how next year's going to work. I did sign up on the Vancouver Canucks site for, and I didn't say for how many games. I just said I was interested in maybe being a season ticket holder next year. And you can get quarter seasons, you can get full seasons. I'm thinking more along the lines of a customized quarter season kind of package, which would be like about 10 games. And so I was thinking, maybe. And again, that depends on fans and attendance and all that. I heard from the Canucks in 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, they're like, "All right, what would you like? Here's when we take the payments. Here's the kind of financing we have and all this." And I thought, wow. And I thought it was nice that they emailed me immediately, and it shows that they're aggressively looking at next season. So that's the only experience I have, is to tell you that what they're planning is, at least on the Canucks front, is they're saying, we're going to plan next season as if we'll have fans in attendance and as if we'll have a full season. And that's what Bill Daly said publicly. That's what Gary Bettman said publicly, even though privately, I think most realize that we won't have fans in attendance. We won't have fans to capacity. So it might be 50% capacity, it might be 30%. If it's 50% capacity, one way you can look at it is, if the NHL doesn't have any fans in attendance, they lose 38% of their income. If you have a half full building, well, now you've cut it to about 20%. So if they're able to figure out a way to do it, and this is through all the safety measures you can have in place, we'll see how that works. I didn't answer that back yet because I thought, well, wait, I didn't even say how many games I want. So I don't want to do like a down payment on something. I don't even know if I'm. So anyways, and we don't even know when the season's starting. They've got December 1st as the soft start date, but it could be anywhere, all over the place. AHL has got December 4th as their start date, and I know the ECHL, I think, is December 2nd. And of course, for the ECHL and the AHL, some sort of fan attendance is really important because they don't generate TV revenues like the NHL does. And obviously, they're not going to have the merch revenue that the NHL does. The NHL has plenty of motivating reasons to try to come up with the best 2020-2021 season that they can, especially with that American TV deal coming to an end next year and looking to get a sweetheart of a deal for 2021 from whether it's NBC ponies up some money, or ESPN, or wherever, or some kind of a mixed deal. They're looking to cash in next year, and you need to play hockey in order to cash in. So when I see people saying, "Oh, they won't even have a next season," they really can't afford not to. And this is for both the NHLPA and the NHL. It's a partnership. So because of the reality that this is a partnership, you kind of have to come together and make this work. I'm very slowly turning that. Look at that. Anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, including winners. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. This is probably the last day where we're going to see more than one hockey game in a day. So I'm going to enjoy this. And if it's the last time I watch Dallas and Vancouver play this year, thanks to both of them for giving me tremendous enjoyment. And they both outlasted Boston. So I didn't see that coming. Not like that. I didn't see Boston going to the finals, but I didn't think Dallas and Vancouver would outlast them. So kudos to them for that. And it's reflected on the power rankings board, which people haven't seen for a while. But they will see after the Stanley Cup's been awarded. Thanks for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.